Ramo 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radha Jayo Jagannath Jagannath Jayo Baladeva Jayo Subhadra Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatu me Jayo Gauranita 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 Jayo Gauranita Jayo Jayo Prabhupada 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev 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 हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। गुरु महाराज की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च। श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त श्रीराधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी श्रीराधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Welcome to this morning's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav course. Hare Krishna. So last time we saw how after Maharaj Dhritarashtra along with Gandhari being affected by the being affected is not the right word, having their heart transformed, specifically Dhritarashtra, after hearing from Vidura, they decided to quit the comforts of the palatial life of like that was given by Maharaj Yudhishthir and leave all of a sudden without informing anyone in the family or amongst the relatives and near and dear ones, including the personal secretary of Maharaj Dhritarashtra, long-time secretary Sanjay. And Maharaj Yudhishthir, due to his compassionate and sensitive heart, feeling guilty that has there been any gap in his taking care of his uncle Dhritarashtra and aunt Gandhari, that they have left all of a sudden, and who would be taking care of them, feeling very anxious about their maintenance, about their protection. And subsequently, Narad Muni arriving at the scene and dispelling the illusion of Maharaj Yudhishthir by explaining to him that Dhritarashtra quitting the life of comfort, the palatial comfort, has been part of Lord Krishna's plan. And as a result, what has happened with him in terms of Dhritarashtra quitting the home is appropriate. And Maharaj Yudhishthir should cooperate, should understand and cooperate with the will of the Lord, and explaining Sarpa Grasta Yatha Param, that just like an animal who is already bound in a serpent's grip cannot really help liberate any other entity. Similarly, all of us being bound by Kala, Karma, and Guna, all of us being bound by the power of time, the power of our actions, karma, bandhana, and guna, the three modes of material nature, we can't really help anyone else in such a condition. And also explaining how Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Vidura are all being well taken care of by the Supreme Lord, just like all other living entities are also provided by Lord Krishna. And he explains how those animals which don't have limbs, they become the food for those who have got limbs, so on and so forth. So Lord has arranged for sustenance and maintenance of each and everyone. So just to maintain the continuity of discussion, we will read some portion of text 48 purport, and then we proceed discussion today. So any devotee would like to read through Prabhuji's Mataji? Hare Krishna. Gita Pradeep Mataji. 1 second.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, 1 second. Yes, Mataji.
Bona fide spiritual masters who look unto the Supreme Lord to cooperate with Him are actually qualitatively one with the Lord, and the forgetful ones are perverted reflections only. Yudhishthira Maharaja is advised by Narada, therefore, not to be disturbed by the affairs of so called happiness and distress, but to look only unto the Lord to execute the mission for which the Lord has descended. That was his prime duty.
Thank you, Mataji. So specific word that is significant here is importance of cooperating with the will of the Lord, with the plan of the Lord. So for that, first understand the plan of the Lord, and then secondly, cooperate with that plan. And that is an instruction applicable more than Yudhishthir Maharaj for all of us. It's very, very important. Just that in that particular context, Narad Muni needed to explain to Maharaj Yudhishthir that don't be too anxious, don't try to bring back Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. They are already on the right path, and Lord is taking care of them. And this is a famous verse from the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Shukadev Goswami has mentioned the importance of having a level, a degree of renunciation in our heart in great graphic detail. So specifically the verse we are referring to today is Ayud Harati Vaipumsam Udyan Ashtam Chayan Asau Tasyarte Yat Kshano Nita Uttama Shloka Vartaya. That means for each and every person, we will see one exception, persons who are not part of this category. For each and every person, both by rising and setting of the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except for one. Who is the exception? Except one who utilizes the time by discussing the topics of the all good personality of Godhead. Uttama Shloka Vartaya. Uttama Shloka means Lord Krishna, who is glorified by choicest of the poems, who is glorified by the choicest of the verses in the scriptures. So those who glorify the Supreme Lord, only they are exception to this rule that each rising of the sun and setting of the sun, they are not going closer to death, but they are going closer to Lord Krishna. For each and every other person, they are simply approaching death by each rising and setting of the sun, one day less. And we also saw at a very high level detail, today we will probably see a bit more into the details of Srila Prabhupada's purport, how through text 58, through text 58, where Narad Muni mentions, the Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods, and he is awaiting the Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth. So through this verse, Narad Muni has hinted towards impending departure of Lord's personal associates, the Yadu Vamshis, and imminent departure, imminent conclusion of Lord Krishna's pastimes on this earthly planet by mentioning to Yudhishthir Maharaj that you cooperate with the will of the Lord and wait till the time Lord Krishna is there on this earth. After his departure, then you are also free to retire. So maybe we will start with the purport of this particular verse. Are there any questions till now, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, based on our last weekend's discussion and introduction for today?
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, one
Hare
by
Krishna Prabhu.
yes, 1 second now. Rukmini Mataji, hold on. Adidev Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, could you please give the reference of the verse which you quoted, rising and setting of the sun?
Sure, sure. Okay, 1 second. It is from 2-3-17. 2-3-17
2-3-17.
1-7. Yes.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Divya Rukmini Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. This is the same. I want to know, Prabhu. I wrote it down. I noted down.
Okay, fine.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And Murli Kari Prabhuji. So you want to read Murli Prabhu, or you have any question?
I have a question, Prabhu.
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
The first thing is that this is an event which has happened after Vidura has left, has
Correct.
taken, yeah, right. But Vidura already knew that Krishna has left,
Correct.
right? Because by then, even if I
No,
wrote,
Krishna had not left. The annihilation of Yadu dynasty had happened.
it has taken place.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. He has
Uh,
seen the annihilation of Yadu dynasty, but not yet the Krishna's
departure of Lord Krishna.
departure.
Departure of Lord Krishna will be discussed more in thorough in the subsequent coming chapter.
This was the confusion I had, because there he had seen it, and then he did not tell him the bad news. That is what we discussed,
Yeah. So
right?
that
Last.
bad news refers to the annihilation, because one of the questions asked by Yudhishthir Maharaj was, how are Yadus doing? And while Vidura answered everything, he avoided addressing that question.
Okay. Okay. So that was the point. I had a bit of a confusion. Then you also explained very well the Kala Sarpa. That was I was reading and I was a bit confused what it meant there. Thank you.
Sure,
Hare
sure.
Krishna.
And we will discuss on this bit more in detail as we start the next chapter. But although the
Yeah.
next chapter is entitled The Departure of Lord Krishna, actual
Mhm.
chapter does not talk about the description of Lord Krishna's concluding pastime, but
Yes.
the chapter talks more about the effect of Lord Krishna concluding his pastime, both on
On
this
Arjuna.
earth, the common living beings, plus specifically on the Pandavas, and within Pandavas specifically Yudhishthir
Arjuna.
Maharaj's reaction, Arjuna's reaction, and subsequent actions taken by all the Pandavas, followed by Draupadi and Kunti Devi.
Yeah.
So we'll
And
come to that.
Subhadra also, I think.
Yeah,
Subhadra also is mentioned.
all the family members of the Pandavas. So let's go through these verses first. Anyone would like to read through Prabhuji's Mataji's Hare Krishna? Rohini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Should I read the shloka or the translation?
You can read the purport. One second. We also had who else had raised hand? Mamta Mataji, had you raised your hand?
Yes, Prabhuji.
You want to read through? You can read through next one. Okay?
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. You
Hare
can read
Krishna.
the purport, Rohini Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. The Lord the Lord descends from his abode, Krishna Loka, the topmost planet in the spiritual sky, in order to help the demigod administrators of this material world when they are greatly vexed by the asuras, who are envious not only of the Lord but also of his devotees. As referred to the above, the conditioned living beings contact material association by their own choice, dictated by a strong desire to lord it over the resources of the material world and to become imitation lords of all they survey. Everyone is trying to become an imitation god. There is keen competition among such imitation gods, and such competitors are generally known as asuras. When there are too many asuras in the world, then it becomes a hell for those who are devotees of the Lord. Due to the growth of the asuras, the mass of people who are generally devoted to the Lord by nature and the pure devotees of the Lord, including the demigods in higher planets, pray to the Lord for relief. And the Lord either descends personally from his abode or deputes some of his devotees to remodel the fallen condition of human society or even animal society.
Thank you, Mataji. So we'll take a pause here. So we see that this material world is designed by the Lord in such a way that time and again there will be the rise of irreligion, the Asuric pravrittis, and to deal with those asuras, either Lord will appear to again resurrect, remodel the world and bring it in right order, or he will send some of his deputies, some of his devotees. Can we think of any examples, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, of a deputy or a devotee sent by the Lord to remodel the fallen condition of human society? There are many examples. Can we think of any? Rohini Mataji, you want to share
Yeah.
any? Yes, Mataji.
Vyasadeva Prabhuji.
Vyasadeva is considered literary incarnations. Okay, so yes, he did come to uplift the fallen condition of the people of upcoming Kali Yuga. Basically, composed all the Vedic scriptures at the beginning of Kali Yuga. But we are talking about some specific devotee who Lord had sent to remodel when the human condition had already become topsy-turvy. Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
I would think the example of Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada, yes, definitely. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had specifically mentioned Srila Prabhupada's appearance, saying, Mora Senapati Bhakta. So, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself had predicted the appearance of Srila Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Yadi papi chadi dharma dure deshe yaye, mora senapati bhakta yaibe tathaye. If some sinful people escape from who? From receiving the mercy of Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Escape and giving up religious principles, go to far off countries, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mainly spread the holy names in India, and that too in the region of Gauda Desh, that means Bengal and Orissa, which is modern day West Bengal plus Bangladesh plus Orissa and plus part of the South India tour, the South India Yatra tour, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu undertook. That people escape this receiving of the mercy and go to far off places, then my Senapati Bhakta will come at that time to give them Krishna consciousness. So that was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction for Srila Prabhupada. But specifically, we also have few direct examples of devotees.
Narada Muni also. Narada Muni.
No, Narad Muni is Bhakti Shakti, but we are talking bit different. We are talking about devotees setting right
Prabhuji,
the topsy-turvy condition of human society.
Prabhuji, can Sant Jnaneshwar can be one of them?
We will discuss this separately, Mataji. Why not this example?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Thakur and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
See, all the examples you are giving, all of you are giving are very nice, but they are of various devotees who helped preach the mission of the Lord. But what we are discussing here is, like, say, for example, Shaktivesh Avatar, like Prutu Maharaj, for example, when the world had turned completely topsy-turvy because of the unruly rule of his own sinful father, King Vena, that he was a Kshatriyavesh avatar, a specially empowered incarnation of the Lord, who appeared to set right the order of the human society. So the devotee examples are definitely great, the preachers of the mission of the Lord, but Lord had also deputed somebody from a Kshatriya side to set the condition of human society right.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can we include Parashurama in this? Because
But
he came,
Parshuram
he
also,
was an incarnation of Lord himself.
yes,
It's an
when
incarnation.
the Kshatriyas, they became overly proud of their own strength, and Parshuram also, by punishing those unruly Kshatriyas 21 times, annihilating the entire population of the Kshatriyas, Parshuram also did set it right.
Janak Maharaj?
Let's
Because
proceed. Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
yes.
Can
Prabhuji,
we tell Buddha also, Prabhuji?
Prabhuji,
Buddha, because that time the society was very much into the killing. That is,
Yes, Buddha is one example, definitely. Specifically, when the priest class, they were trying to misuse the references given in the Vedas for their own sense gratification by indiscriminately killing the animals in the name of Vedas. Lord Buddha specifically appeared, and that was a major remodeling, because Lord Buddha basically we can't say defied, but basically he removed the authenticity of the Vedas by preaching Shunyavad. And then subsequently we see Lord had to again start from scratch by reposing people's faith in the Vedas through the appearance of Shankaracharya, through the Advaitavad philosophy. So thank you. Maybe we'll have one more example. Rajiv, Mukha, Keshav, Prabhuji, you were saying something?
In the recent times, when there was so much violence, Shivaji Maharaj, he re-established Swarajya, and he freed people from all the misery. So,
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. So such examples of either the personal representatives of the Lord or those leaders of the society who were empowered by the Lord. We see that coming back to the verse we were discussing, Narad Muni is explaining, just give me 1 minute. Narad Muni is explaining to Yudhishthir Maharaj that this purpose of Lord's appearance has more or less been now fulfilled with the establishment of the rule of Dharma and enthroning Maharaj Yudhishthir as the sovereign king of the whole world. So we proceed. Yes, and going further, now Narada Muni gives great detail about what not has happened, is happening to Yudhishthir Maharaj's uncle and aunt Dhritarashtra and Gandhari along with Vidura. Where have they gone? What are they doing? And what is going to happen with them? So, and probably whatever questions we had asked by Murli Prabhu, Shama Gopika Mataji last time, they will also be answered in great detail in these upcoming verses. Any devotee would like to chant the verse and read through Hare Krishna? Anyone would like to recite the verse? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's. Gita, Pratipha, hold on, Mataji one. Dhanya Dameshwari Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
1 second, Mataji, I will also show here. Yes, Dhanya Dameshwari Mataji.
Krishna Prabhu. Dhritarashtra saha vratara
Dhritarashtra saha bhratra
Gandharya cha svabharyaya
Gandharya swabharyaya
Dakshinena himavata
Dakshinena himavata
ashramam gatha
Rishina ashramam gata. Translation.
O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalaya mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages.
Yes. So before, Narad Muni explained to Maharaj Yudhishthir in a philosophical manner to see the situation as the part of plan of the Lord and not to become anxious, reassuring Maharaj Yudhishthir that Krishna is personally taking care of their protection. And now Narad Muni is explaining in factual manner what is happening to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Please proceed, Mataji. Purport.
To pacify the mourning Maharaja Yudhishthira, Narada first of all spoke from the philosophical point of view, and then he began to describe the future movements of his uncle, which he could see by his foreseeing powers, and thus began to describe as follows.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So here we see that great Mahabhagavad devotees like Narada Muni, they are empowered by the Lord not just to travel to any place in the higher, middle, or lower planetary systems, or even to the spiritual world, but great devotees like Narada Muni, Srila Vyasadeva, of course, Vyasadeva, although he is an incarnation of the Lord in this particular millennium, but usually Srila Vyasadeva is also empowered personality, a great devotee of the Lord, not the current Vyasadeva, who is Lord Krishna himself incarnated. So such great personalities, they are also empowered by the Lord to be Trikalagya. Trikalagya means they can see the past, present, and future. And this power was given to Narada Muni. So text 52. 1 second. Who wants to recite or read Hare Krishna? Quickly. Rohini Mataji. Other devotees can keep your hands raised, Prabhuji's Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shrotobi saptabhirya vai.
Shrotorbir saptabirya
Yavai
Swardhuni saptadha vyadhat.
Swardhuni saptadha vyadhat
Yadhat
Saptanam priyate nana.
Saptanam priyate nana
Nana
Saptashrota prakashate.
Saptashrota
Saptashrota
prachakshate.
Prakshate.
Translation.
Translation. The place is called Saptashrota, divided by 7, because
Sorry.
because there the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis.
Thank you, Mataji. So here Narad Muni is talking about the exact place which Dhritarashtra and Gandhari have gone. Hare Krishna. Rasarangini Mataji, please take care of the background sound, Mataji. Can you make me host, Mataji? Let me make few more devotees co-host, please. Hare Krishna. Hare Ram. Hare Ram. Hare Krishna. Rasarangini Mataji, you can make me host, please.
Prabhu, 1 second.
Yeah. So this place was also mentioned recently by Shama Gopika Mataji, where His Holiness Rompa Swami Maharaj took the devotees for yatra to this holy place, where the Ganges has been divided into 7 substreams for the pleasure of 7 saptarshis, for the pleasure of 7 great sages. So this place is referred to as Saptashota here in Bhagavatam, where Dhritarashtra and Gandhari have gone to. And this place is located on the southern side of the Himalayan mountains. So don't get confused. Last time we discussed that Dhritarashtra and Gandhari walked towards north. So they walked towards north means walk towards Himalaya, but specifically they have gone to the southern side of Himalaya, that means at the foothills of Himalayan mountains, where the Saptashrota Ganges divided into 7 substreams is located. So we proceed. What happened to Dhritarashtra afterwards? Just give me 1 minute. All right. So text 53. Prema Priya Jayashree Mataji. Hare Krishna. Please proceed. Prema Priya Mataji, you want to sing? You want to recite the verse? Sanjukta Mataji, Hare Krishna. Please unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Snatvanushavanan Tashmin.
Snatva
Shravanam
Savanam Tasmin.
Bhutva Chagnin Yatha Vidhi.
Bhutva Chagnin Yatha Vidhi.
Abhakhya Upasantatmam.
Abhaksha Upasantatma.
Upasantana.
Sa astevi Gatau Shanaha.
Sahaste
Vigatvaishanaha.
Translation.
Translated by Srila Prabhupada, purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The yoga system is
On the banks yet. Yeah.
Translation. On the banks of Saptastrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily in the morning, noon, and evening, by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire, and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one completely from thoughts of the familial affection.
Thank you, Mataji. Purport.
Purport. The yoga system is mechanical way to control the senses and mind and divert them from matter to spirit. The preliminary process are the sitting posture, meditation, spiritual thought, manipulations of air passing within the body, the gradual situations in trance, facing the absolute persons, Paramatma. Such mechanical ways of rising to the spiritual platform prescribe some regulative principles of taking bath daily 3 times, fasting as far as possible, sitting and concentrating the mind on spiritual matters, and thus gradually becoming free from Vishaya, the material objective. Material existence means to be absorbed in the material objective, which is simply illusory. House, country, family, society, children, property, and business are some of the material coverings of the spirit, Atma, and the yoga system helps one to become free from all these illusory thoughts and gradually turns towards the absolute person, Paramatma. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here, from the description, we see that Dhritarashtra is being asked to follow by Vidura a mechanical way to control his mind and focus his attention, control his mind and senses, and focus his attention on Lord Krishna, and which involves several mechanical means that we learnt in chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, including having the right sitting posture, following meditation, spiritual thoughts, manipulation of the different airs that pass through our body, and gradually situating oneself in trance, facing the absolute person, Paramatma. So basically, this is the path of Ashtanga Yoga that Vidura has asked Dhritarashtra to follow. And one reason we saw in our last discussion, which was Dhritarashtra's strong attachment in his earlier family life to material comfort, to material opulence, and his also attachment to his sons who were on the wrong path. And we will see one more reason why Dhritarashtra was asked to follow this preliminary path, and we will also see in the next verse one more important aspect of how, even for the devotees, to follow a part of this yogic process is very important. Some of these regulations, in what way to be a successful bhakti yogi. So this is definitely a ladder, a stepping stone, as we can say, to the path of spiritual perfection, though not mandatory to be a successful bhakti yogi, but some of these processes, especially the process of regulating oneself, which Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6. It is very, very important for devotees to regulate one's life through these processes of yoga practice. Sanyukta Mataji, please continue the highlighted part. Drinking water only.
Drinking water only without solid food is also considered fasting. This is necessary for advancement of the spiritual knowledge. A foolish man wants to be a cheap yogi without observing the regulative principles. A man who has no control over the tongue as first can hardly become a yogi. Yogi and vogi are two opposite terms. The vogi or the merry man who eats and drinks cannot be a yogi. For a yogi is never allowed to eat and drink unrestrictedly. We may note with profit how Dhritarashtra began his yoga system by drinking water only and sitting calmly in a place with a spiritual atmosphere, deeply absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord Hari, the personalities of Godhead.
Personality of
Hari.
Godhead. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. 1 second. Yeah, we see Dhritarashtra here coming to this holy place of Sapta Shrota, where Ganges is divided into 7 streams, and practicing austerities in terms of performing the Agnihotra sacrifices, taking bath 3 times daily, and not taking food, performing austerities by consuming only water, and thus purifying and trying to meditate, focus his mind on the Supreme Lord, and thus purify himself. So here, like as 1 second, what I mentioned. Yes, so importance of being situated in the yoga process. That means following some of these regulations is very, very favorable for the practice of bhakti yoga. And Srila Prabhupada mentions that no one can be a successful bhakti yogi without having some kind of regulations in their life. Like sometimes we see that devotees, in order to attract our near and dear ones and family members, say on some specific days like Ekadashi, in order for them not to miss the normal food made of grains, vegetables, grains, etc., what devotees try to do is they will try to feed the Ekadashi Prasadam so sumptuously so that the person doesn't miss the normal meal, that the person forgets one of the primary reason of doing the upvas, which is to simplify the needs of the body and go closer to the Lord. So it is very important while following some of these rules and regulations to also follow the process properly in order to remember the reason why we are following that regulation. So technically, even if one is consuming, say, very, very sumptuous food on Ekadashi, technically we may not be breaking the Ekadashi fast. But the whole purpose of following that upavas is not 100% met in that particular case. So it is very important as a devotees, we also imbibe some of these regulations in our day-to-day life in order to be a successful bhakti yogi. It is helpful. It is not the one and only goal of life. Like Dhritarashtra was given this primary process because of his limitations, but this can definitely help as a stepping stone to further advance in Krishna consciousness. Any questions, queries, Prabhuji's, Mataji's on this particular point of regulations in Ashtanga yoga practice? Why they are important? Some of these we should definitely follow, like Prabhupada recommends here. Drinking water only without having any solid food is also considered fasting. This is necessary for advancement of spiritual knowledge. That means all these regulative practices, they definitely aid, they definitely support advancement in spiritual life, even for devotees, if we take it in a right spirit for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So we should not belittle the importance of these practices, saying that because Ashtanga yoga in the yoga ladder is lower than Bhakti yoga, all these practices are not of help. Definitely not. They are not helpful, provided we take them in a right spirit in regulating our lifestyle. So we proceed. Text 54. Divya Rukmini Mataji. 1 second.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can
Hare
you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jidasano Jidaswasa.
Jitasano Jitaswasa.
Pratyahृतषडीन्द्रियः.
Pratyaruta Shad Indriya.
Haribhavanaya Jasta.
Hari Bhavanaya Dvasta.
Rajasattvamo malaha.
Rajasattvatamo Malaha. Translation.
Translation: one who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogic asanas, and the breathing process can turn the senses toward the absolute personality of Godhead and thus become immune to the contaminations of the modes of material nature, namely mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance. Hare Krishna.
Purport.
The preliminary activities of the way of yoga and asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, etc. Maharaja Dhritarashtra was to attain success in those preliminary actions because he was seated in a sanctified place and was concentrating upon one objective, namely the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Thus, all his senses were being engaged in the service of the Lord. This process directly helps the devotee to get freedom from the contaminations of the three material modes of nature. Even the highest mode, the material mode of goodness, is also a cause of material bondage, and what to speak of the other qualities, namely passion and ignorance.
Yes, thank you, Mata. Just hold on 1
Hare
second.
Krishna.
So we see Prabhupada mentions that Vidura engaged Dhritarashtra in all these yama niyama processes of yogic practice in order to get out of the lower modes of material nature from passion and ignorance. And Prabhupada is referring to a specific verse from 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where it is mentioned that what to speak of the lower modes, even the highest mode of material nature, the mode of goodness, also has its set of conditionings. Those situated in that mode of goodness, they become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So Dhritarashtra was being taught the very preliminary process of the yogic ladder by following these rules and regulations by the mercy and good instructions of Vidura. And one reason why Dhritarashtra could not be directly taken to the highest stage of yoga ladder, we will see one more reason today. What was the other reason? So now we will directly go to the translation. Reena Mataji, please unmute yourself. You can directly read the translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate with Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky. Hare Krishna.
The highlighted part.
This is the highest perfectional development of spiritual identity, which was attained by Dhritarashtra by the grace of Vidura and the Lord. The Lord's mercy was bestowed upon him by his personal contact with Vidura, and when he was actually practicing the instructions of Vidura, the Lord helped him to attain the highest perfectional state.
Thank you, Mataji. So we will see were there any gaps in Dhritarashtra meeting the highest perfection of human life. So that is coming also. Just 1 second. Continue, Mataji. He will have to.
he will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you. So the purpose to these two verses, text 55, 56, you can read at your leisure. They mainly talk about the technicalities of following this process. And now we come to an important verse, which is the concluding portion of this chapter. So Reena Mataji, you can recite this verse, text 57. So,
Jitasano jita swashaha
Sava Adyata.
Savaadhyatana Rajan
Sava Adyatana
अद्यतनाद्राजन्
Rajan
Paratah Panchame Ahani
परतः
Paratah
पञ्चमी
Panchami
अहनि
Hani
Kalevaram Asyati Swam
कलेवरम्
Kalevaram
आश्यति
Asyati
स्वम्
Swam
Tat
Sha
Taccha Bhasmi Bhavishyati.
Tacha
भस्मी
Basmi
भविष्यति
Bhavishyati. Translation.
O king, he will quit his body most probably on the fifth day from today, and his body will turn to ashes.
Yes. So now Narad Muni, as we described a while ago, he is a Trikalagya. Trikalagya means such great souls like Narad Muni, Srila Vyasadeva, and other pure devotees. They are able to envisage what would happen from now into future, and they are also, they know perfectly the past and the present as well. So Narad Muni mentions to Yudhishthir Maharaj accurately location of Dhritarashtra, how he is being engaged through Vidura's instruction into following the regulated path of Ashtanga Yoga, and how he is going to attain perfection in his life around fifth day from that point in time. Dhritarashtra will quit his body, and Yudhishthir Maharaj might think, okay, my uncle is going to quit his body, then let me bring his body back to Hastinapur to perform the final rites as his heir, as the heir of Kuru dynasty. But Narad Muni mentions to Yudhishthir Maharaj that no, Lord is completely taking care of your uncles and aunt, and his body will be burnt into the yogic fire, which will consume his body. Basically, the cottage in which Dhritarashtra will be sitting, it will also burn, and his body will be consumed in those flames. So Yudhishthir Maharaj might think that if my uncle is going to pass away on the fifth day, let me bring back my aunt to take care of her. Who will take care of her? So Narad Muni addresses that as well. Just you can read the translation, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. While outside observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention.
Yes. So Gandhari, also following the path of her husband, who is now attaining the yogic perfection by following the path of Ashtanga Yoga, will enter the fire, will go sati, basically enter the funeral fire of her husband Dhritarashtra, and will also be consumed by fire. So don't think of bringing back your aunt as well. Narad Muni is mentioning to Yudhishthir Maharaj. And then Yudhishthir Maharaj might think that my uncle Dhritarashtra is going to end his body. Aunt Gandhari is also going to follow him. Then what would happen to other uncle Vidura? Let me try to bring him back. Now, what would happen to Vidura is also mentioned. Maybe we'll ask another set of devotees to recite Hare Krishna. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Hold 1 second, Mataji. Hold. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Vidurastu tad asharyam
Vidurastu tat ashram
nishamya kurunandana
nishamya kurunandana
harsha shoka yutastasmad
harshashoka
ganta tirtha nishevakaha
Vakaha. So here one particular word is used to describe Vidura, which is Harsha Shoka. And this is a question for all the devotees. Can you think why Vidura is being described as Harsha Shoka? Prabhuji's Mataji's. What is the reason for his being very glad and he also having Shoka, lamentation? What is the reason? And those devotees who want to answer can think for a minute and then raise your hand. Hare Krishna. Why Vidura is being described as Harsha Shoka? Everyone can try. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, Mataji. Ishwari Murari Priyam.
Harsha is because Dhritarashtra is leaving this, trying
Right.
to detach from material world and going towards Lord Sri Krishna.
Mhm.
And Shoka is because he is missing, they are missing him in this, Pandavas are missing him because he is leaving this material world.
Yeah, but of course Pandavas are missing and Vidura himself as a loving brother, right? Vidura loved Dhritarashtra. Whatever may be the wrongdoings, wrong attachments and all, but Vidura as a loving younger brother himself would also be missing. But there is one more important reason for Vidura to be lamenting. So maybe we'll request few more devotees. Thank you, Ishwari Priya Mataji. Gunavati Jayashri Mataji, Hare Krishna, you want to try?
Prabhuji, I was wanting to help talk about the same thing. Like Harsha was because he was successful in starting the spiritual journey of Vidura. Like though not to the Bhakti Yoga stage out there. That was the reason for him to be in a Harsha stage. Shoka was the same thing, Prabhuji, that he is missing his association out here.
Right.
He was closely associated with Dhritarashtra in this world, in this life out there.
Thank you, Gunavati Mataji. Hare Krishna. Maybe we'll request one or two more devotees. Mangala Mai Sri Prada Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Vidura is described as Harsha Sloka because it is a combination of both joy and sorrow due to his deep emotional state upon returning to Hastinapura. Okay, the main point is he felt happy. He is going to join, reunited with the family. Sorrow is he was aware of the impending destruction of the Yadu dynasty and the suffering it would bring. Am I right, Prabhuji?
Okay. So basically, Harsha, as many of you have mentioned, because Dhritarashtra, even if having led a wretched life, at least at the end, by leveraging on the good instructions of Vidura, he did come to his senses, renounce the family life, which would have been a terrible destination if he would have died in the palatial comforts of family life. So that was the reason of Harsha. And Shoka, Prabhuji.
May I answer, Prabhuji?
Okay, yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Because he could not make him a real true devotee, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Shoka, because he was not able to make Dhritarashtra pure devotee because of his inimical tendency to attitude towards his Pandava children, sons.
Yes, so because of the so many offenses that Dhritarashtra had committed towards the Pandavas, one after another, despite having the holy association of Vidura for the limited time he had, Dhritarashtra could only attain a perfection up to yogic perfection. He could not attain the highest perfection which can be attained through the life of devotion, which is the love of Godhead. So that was not attained by Dhritarashtra, and it is given by Srila Prabhupada as well in the purport. So we will go through the purport, but one of the major reasons was Dhritarashtra's earlier wrongdoings, which again proves the point that offense to a Vaishnava is such a difficult thing to overcome, to mitigate, that scriptures advise in Nectar of Devotion as well as in Nectar of Instruction. We see Srila Rupa Goswami mentions that even up to the level of bhava, that means अधो श्रद्धा तथा साधु संग भजन क्रिया अनर्थ निवृत्ति निष्ठा रुचि आसक्ति bhava and prema. Even up to the level of bhava, which is one level before prema, till that level one is not freed from this wrongdoings, which is offense to the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, which Dhritarashtra had done more than once, and because of that he could not attain the highest stage of devotional practice. So that was the reason of Vidura's lamentation. So let's go through the purport and let's go through the translation and the purport. Ishwari Murari Priya Mataji, was it you who was?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
So just 1 second. Hold on. Yes, Vidura.
Vidura, being affected with delight and grief, will then leave the place of sacred pilgrimage. Purport. Only highlighted.
You can read the complete one.
Vidura was astonished to see the marvelous departure of his brother Dhritarashtra as a liberated yogi, for in his past life he was much attached to materialism. Of course, it was only due to Vidura that his brother attained the desirable goal of life. Vidura was therefore glad to learn about it, but he was sorry that he could not make his brother turn into a pure devotee. This was not done by Vidura because of Dhritarashtra's being inimical to the Pandavas, who were all devotees of the Lord. An offense at the feet of a Vaishnava is more dangerous than an offense at the lotus feet of the Lord. Vidura was certainly very liberal to bestow mercy upon his brother Dhritarashtra, whose past life was very materialistic. But ultimately, the result of such mercy certainly depends on the will of the Supreme Lord in the present life. Therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only, and after many such liberated states of life, one can attain to the stage of devotional service. Vidura was certainly very mortified by the death of his brother and sister-in-law, and the only remedy to mitigate such lamentation was to go out to pilgrimage. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthira had no chance to call back Vidura, his surviving uncle.
Thank you. Thank you, Mother. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here we see that any thought of bringing back Gandhari after Dhritarashtra and Vidura after hearing about Dhritarashtra and Gandhari's departure is dispelled by Narad Muni to Yudhishthir Maharaj, that Vidura is not going to stay in that place after this happens. He being afflicted by the departure of his brother and sister-in-law, in order to mitigate that lamentation, Vidura will set off for places of pilgrimage. So you can't bring him back, my dear Yudhishthir Maharaj. And in the purport, we see that even such a great personality like Vidura, even after getting his association, Dhritarashtra, because of his earlier offenses committed towards Pandavas. See, if it was just his material attachment, trust me, Prabhuji's Matajis, he would have still attained the complete perfection in terms of love of Godhead. But offenses towards the lotus feet of Pandavas, not once or twice, but n number of times, that led to ultimately Dhritarashtra still prolonging his journey to reach the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. Of course, what he attained was great, but it was not the greatest. And we have discussed this point many times, even as part of our Bhakti Shastri discussion, how offense to the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is a very dangerous proposition. So there are many episodes we have discussed earlier on. What to speak of an ordinary personality, even some of the great devotees and near and dear ones of the Lord have been in trouble because of knowingly, unknowingly committing some form of offense to great Vaishnavas. Like in the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we discussed during the Bhakti Shastri discussion. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Mahaprakash Leela, he was giving benedictions liberally to all different devotees, starting from the maid servant of Srivas Thakur, Dukhi, who Mahaprabhu granted benediction the first. But when it came the turn of his own mother, Sachi Devi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he had his reservation because of the offense committed by Sachi Mata, and you might contest that it was not exactly an offense, it was just a mother's natural feeling of bereavement because of her only child, Nimai, now living after taking sannyas. So Sachimata had basically mentioned about Advaita Acharya that although his name is Advaita, that means non-dual, a person who is equipoise, who is non-dual, but he has been Dvaita because firstly he took my elder son away, Vishwa, what was Vishwarup, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elder brother name, Vishwarup, who took sannyas because he used to regularly associate with Advaita Acharya and subsequently he accepted the path of renounced life. And Sachimata then mentions that now he has taken away my other son as well by having him because of his association, Advaita Acharya's association. She puts it on Advaita Acharya's association that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has also taken sannyas. That means she has lost her other son as well. So one might think that it is the natural feeling of bereavement of a mother, bereaved mother. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, still whatever we may think, he did not take it lightly. He refused to give his mercy to even to his own mother, saying that she has committed offense at the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya. And she has to beg forgiveness from Advaita Acharya. And when devotees mentioned this to Advaita Acharya, he was furious at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that how can he think that Sachimata has done any mistake, Sachimata has committed any offense. She, as the mother of Lord Chaitanya, is the mother of all bhakti. She is the person who can grant bhakti to anyone and everyone in the world. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that she has committed an offense towards me. And she is such an exalted personality, I cannot even think of allowing her to touch my lotus feet. And basically, in one Rath Yatra festival, when all the devotees were dancing in ecstasy, when Advaita Acharya was also dancing in ecstasy, he went in trance and fell externally unconscious. And devotees, taking advantage of this particular situation, brought Sachimata to take the dust from the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya, and only then Sachimata was relieved from that offense that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had considered committed by her towards Advaita Acharya. And thus the whole situation was resolved amicably. But the point is how much careful we as a practicing devotee should be about not offending a Vaishnava, even if there are certain demerits, like we discussed last time. It should be whether we have the adhikar. If we don't have the adhikar, better we tell the authority who have got the adhikar to correct that person. But we should not knowingly, unknowingly offend a Vaishnava. It is not, basically, it is very, very detrimental for our own spiritual life. And we will recite this verse from the episode of Maharaj Rahugun's interaction with Jada Bharat. So any devotee wants to recite this in proper meter? Hare Krishna. Prema Priya Jayashree Mataji, you want to recite Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Upnavruta Vasudevaya. Naham vishanke surarajavajran.
Naham Vishanke Surarajavajran.
Natraksha Sulan Nayamasya Dandat.
Natra Shashula Nayamasya Danda.
Nagyarka Soma Nilavatta Pasraj.
Nagyarkasoma Nilavitta Pastra.
Chanke Prasham Brahma Kulavamaanat.
Shanke Vrisham Brahma Kulavamana. Translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Translation by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Prabhati Jai. My dear sir, I am not at all afraid of the thunderbolt of King Indra, nor am I afraid of the serpentine piercing trident of Lord Shiva. I do not care about the punishment of Yamaraja, the superintendent of death, nor am I afraid of fire, scorching sun, moon, wind, nor the weapons of Kuvera. Yet I am afraid of offending a Brahmana. I am very much afraid of this. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. So, after misunderstanding the position, exalted position of Maharaj Jadabharat because of his external appearance as a dull and dumb man, Rahugan Maharaj, when he behaved very rashly, when he spoke very harshly to Jadabharat, that he can't even do the simple task of carrying the palanquin properly, and chastising him left, right, and center, saying that he is going to now punish Jadabharat just like Yamaraj punishes the sinful living entities. And after that episode, when Jadabharat started speaking to Maharaj Rahugan, explaining to him the philosophy of body and mind, explaining that, my dear sir, you consider yourself to be the king, and all others here, including the palanquin carriers and me as the servants, who knows that next life you may be born in the body of a servant and somebody else may be master. So don't be in illusion of being the lord and master of everyone because of this temporary position of being a king. When Maharaj Rahugan realizes the mistake he has committed at the lotus feet of such a great soul, he immediately falls flat in front of Jadabharat and begs forgiveness, saying he is not even afraid of Vajra, thunderbolt of Indra, or the trident of Lord Shiva, or the punishment of Yamaraj, but he is very, very afraid of committing offense at the lotus feet of such a great personality like Maharaj Jadabharat or other such great devotees. So we should be very, very careful from the lesson from the life of King Dhritarashtra, that although he got the association of such a great personality like Vidura throughout his life, and more importantly, in a very graphic manner at the fag end of his life, but he could only achieve perfection up to a certain level because of his past offenses towards Pandavas. Now we proceed to the concluding verse of this particular chapter. Till now, any questions, queries, Prabhujis, Matajis on whatever topics we discussed? All of us agree, understand this particular point. Anyone has any doubt, queries on this or comments to share? Hare Krishna.
Clear, Prabhuji.
All right. So let's go through the last verse of this chapter. Text 60. Who had raised their hand? Any other devotees wants to recite and read? Hare Krishna. Ratna Gosai Mataji, Ratnanga, Radha Ratnanga Mataji, or Gunavati Jayashree Mataji, or Lalita Vinodini Mataji, or any other devotees. Lalita Vinodini Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare.
Deksham Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ityuktva tharu. 1 minute, Prabhuji. Ityuktva tharuhat swargam.
Ityuktva tharuhat swargam.
Narada sahatum guruhu.
नारदः सह तुङ्गुरुः
युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य
युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य
स्वीकृत्वा जहाचुषः
हृदिं कृत्वा जहाचुचः.
Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Having spoken thus, the great sage Narada, along with his veena, ascended into the outer space. Yudhishthira kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all lamentations. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Narada ji is an eternal spaceman, having been endowed with a spiritual body by the grace of the Lord. He can travel in the outer spaces of both the material and spiritual worlds without restriction and can approach any planet in unlimited space within no time. We have already discussed his previous life as the son of a maid servant. Because of his association with the pure devotees, he was elevated to the position of an eternal spaceman and thus had freedom of movement. One should therefore try to follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni and not make a futile effort to reach other planets by mechanical means. Maharaja Yudhishthira was a pious king and therefore he could see Narada Muni occasionally. Anyone who desires to see Narada Muni must first be pious and follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So one important point, if we observe in the life of all these great personalities who have given very important instructions, Prabhuji's Mataji, we'll see some examples. Let me read the translation again. Having spoken thus, the great sage Narada, along with his Veena, ascended into outer space. Yudhishthir kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all lamentations. If we see all these great personalities, like say for example, Narada Muni instructing Yudhishthir Maharaj, Jada Bharat instructing Maharaj Rahugan, Shukadev Goswami instructing Maharaj Parikshit. We will observe one particular aspect, that Vidura instructing Dhritarashtra, that after their job was done, after the instruction was imparted, all these personalities, they immediately continue to their next journey. That means they did not remain overly attached, neither they were overly lamenting and got stuck in that particular context. They see the overall happening as the arrangement of the Lord, and even the instructions they have been imparting as the will of the Lord to enlighten the other person, and along with that other person, the primary hearer, to enlighten the common masses of people through their teachings. So here we see Narad Muni is not attached that Yudhishthir, I have explained to you this. Now I help you micromanage. You do this. Whatever was necessary to dispel the illusion, lamentation of Yudhishthir Maharaj, Narad Muni did it and immediately he set off to his next destination without remaining attached any further to the situation. We similarly also see in the context of Krishna instructing Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. After the, in fact, the instructions were over in the 17th chapter only. 18th chapter is basically the concluding part where Krishna gave choice to Arjuna. Whatever I had to tell, I have already told. Now you do what you feel is right, my dear Arjuna. Even if Arjuna would have said, after hearing you, I still don't want to fight, Krishna would have probably arranged some other means to destroy the Kurus. They were not going to go back, but he would not have pushed Arjuna any further. Similarly, in the case of Maharaj Rahugana being instructed by Jadabharat, we see that after the instruction was over, Bhagavatam mentions Jadabharat simply walked off to his next destination without staying attached. That now you have reformed, my dear King Rahugan, let me micromanage in how you maintain the kingdom, how you manage yourself using those instructions. They were not attached. Similarly, even Shukadev Goswami, after he finished his instructions to Maharaj Parikshit, even before Parikshit Maharaj's departure, Shukadev Goswami, he moved on to his next destination. In fact, Parikshit, what to speak of Shukadev Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj himself, before even Takshaka bird came and burnt his physical body, Parikshit Maharaj sat in meditation on the Supreme Lord and himself gave up his body. And what Takshaka bird burnt was his body, from which Parikshit Maharaj's soul had already left. So point is, all these great personalities, although they are giving such wonderful instructions, none of them is attached to how that instruction is being followed. They do their part but remain detached. Actually, there are three things we should be detached. I heard yesterday: the situation, the people, and the time. Always realizing that these three, we cannot be the controller. Whatever good we have to do, we can do based on the Shastric injunctions. But beyond that, we should not be possessive, even if they are our near and dear ones. So similarly, even in case of Vidura, we see that after the departure, after the annihilation of the body of his own dear brother and sister-in-law, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, Vidura, to mitigate the lamentation, to feel separation is one thing, but how does a devotee overcome that separation, overcome that lamentation, is worth noticing. So Vidura is not overly attached to the situation, neither he lamented that how I could not make Dhritarashtra into pure devotees. Whatever best he had to offer for Dhritarashtra's upliftment, he did that, and then he remained unattached. He progressed further on to his pilgrimage. So with this, we will conclude this chapter entitled Dhritarashtra Quits. So, any questions, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna?
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes. One by one. Divya Rukmini Mataji. Hare Krishna, Divya Rukmini Mataji. Please unmute.
No, Prabhu. No, Prabhu. I don't have any question, Prabhu.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine.
Hare Krishna. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It
Yes.
reminds me, just to add something, it reminds me, I believe the right way of leaving the body is to, of course, take sannyasa and then go out to a far off place and leave the body there. And the people should not even know that we have left the body. The information just should reach them. I read somewhere that, Prabhu, like that.
Yeah, so we discussed that in the last session where Prabhupada mentions it in the purport of being a dhira, that such a person should leave the family life and go to a place without informing any near and dear ones. Stay in a place of seclusion, mainly to develop detachment. But yeah, but
should not expect our people to be around, Prabhuji. Should not expect all people to be around.
But for devotees, his primary instruction is stay engaged in the association, in the service of the Lord and the devotees, and stay engaged in hearing and chanting. That is even higher for a practicing devotee. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, little clarification on the last part, Prabhu, in the sense, like, I understand that he did Ashtanga Yoga, but he did Vaishnava Aparad of, troubling Pandavas, so he did not get Goloka Vrindavan thing. So exactly what did he get? He got liberation means what did he get? I could not understand.
Okay, so basically, he would have got a very higher destination like the yogis receive, Mataji. Probably I have to check exactly where did he land up, but Bhagavatam mentioned that he achieved yogic perfection, yogic liberation. So
okay, so does it mean merging with the Lord, Prabhu? That was something.
I don't think, because Bhagavatam doesn't mention.
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't mention that. I will check on this and come back.
Sure,
Mataji.
Done. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And Kunti Maharani did not go with them, right? It's only these three people. That is Vidura and that is only two of them, Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Okay.
So
doubt, Prabhuji.
One by one. Hold on, Mataji. So Kunti Maharani's description will come in the subsequent chapter when Pandavas leave home after departure of Lord Krishna. So there her description will come.
Sure. Done. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Prema Priya Mataji.
Related to this, Prabhuji, earlier in the same chapter, I forget the verse actually, it mentions that Kunti Maharaji went with them, Prabhuji.
No.
I mean, in the same chapter, I'll highlight. I mean, I don't remember right now. It mentions that she left along with Dhritarashtra and.
No, Mataji.
Acha.
You can check and you can ping me separately. Why I'm
yes.
saying no, I don't want any misunderstanding or confusion for devotees because
Yes,
it will come subsequently. Okay?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. All right. So now we come to this particular point. Prabhupada mentions if one wants the personal audience and darshan of such great souls like Narada Muni, then one must be pious and follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni first. Murli Prabhuji, you have any doubts, query Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes. When I was just lamenting on the overall message of this chapter, Prabhuji, thinking about what could be the overall message of the Dhritarashtra's departure to the common man mean. Yeah, that is something which was. Is it that I mean we have seen that two people have got rid of their what you can say is moha, yeah, or
material
agyana,
affection.
material affection or agyana. Yeah? One is Dhritarashtra, and the other is also Maharaj Yudhishthira, even though he was a devotee. Yeah, he was also explained. Is there anything else we can look at apart from these two aspects, Prabhuji? That was my.
So if we go through detail about the learnings we can come up with from this particular chapter, one is definitely as dispelling the basically destroying the material affection and ignorance of Dhritarashtra. In case of Maharaj Yudhishthir, I won't call it ignorance, but it was his affection or illusion of thinking that I will maintain, I will take care of them. So that illusion was dispelled by Narad Muni. We can also understand importance of the holy association of such great personalities like Vidura and a leverage which was available to Dhritarashtra throughout his life, which he did not take benefit of. But at last, Vidura had to be really heavy in his instruction. It was not that Dhritarashtra mended his ways immediately. Dhritarashtra called him to the level of a pet dog being fed by the food that was thrown by Pandavas, by Bhimasen. So he had to be really heavy and graphic for Dhritarashtra to come to his senses. But good thing was, then finally he followed, which was good, that it's never too late. And finally, how one should be careful about avoiding offenses to the great souls because they can haunt even until one's end if we are not careful. So many such lessons we can derive. And there is also important part Srila Prabhupada covers as part of his purports about importance of timely retiring from the family life, and he gives the various stages, and those instructions are even for common men and all of us, all the practicing devotees, that he mentions that it is a wretched life if we remain attached to the family subject matters till the end of one's life. So it is not that leaving home is must, but at least coming out of that consciousness of I, mine, home, wife, property, children, all those conceptions, remaining attached to them till the end is very dangerous proposition. That's what Bhagavatam also mentions. So these are some of the learnings I could relate to Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks for the three other points, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
One
Mataji, we will ask the other devotees who are still pending. I will come to you in the end. Reena Mahendra Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Thanks,
ma'am.
Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this is related to Vaishnava Aparadha, Prabhuji. If we come across any Vaishnava, we will be like some comment will come about their physics of physical nature or the way of their speaking in our mind actually. So it will not be intentional, but that will come naturally. So that also will be considered as Vaishnava Aparadha, Prabhuji.
Oh, physical nature, or what else you mentioned?
Like somebody is looking ugly or dark color or something related to their physical nature or the way of they speak.
Right.
So that also will be commended because that will be natural. Like if we come across or if we see anyone, like something, some impression will come to our mind. Is that also will be considered as Vaishnava Aparadha?
So as such, the mental offenses are not held accountable in Kali Yuga. That is the good beneficial part. But we should correct that mentality also. The problem is the wrong mentality can sometimes lead to those that mentality coming out in the form of words or even worse action. So we have to be careful that thoughts themselves will not harm us, but they can cause harm if they turn into action in terms of our words or physical actions. This is one. Second thing, very simple point. See, we are in a hospital, the material world. We can't expect all healthy people in the hospital. If they were all healthy, if we were healthy, we would not have been in the hospital. So the very reason that we are in the material world are all of us are afflicted and we are trying to get cured of that material disease. So even if a person, what to speak of the points that you mentioned, even if the person literally has some demerits or gaps, as long as they are not impacting our Krishna consciousness, we should still tolerate. And one second, we should still tolerate, and if they are really harming that person's own spiritual life, then we can report them to the authority, like for ISKCON Mangalore congregation, say Namanishta Prabhuji, but not beyond that. And one thing we ourselves should remember, that whatever may be the gaps, that person is rendering service to Krishna, he or she is eager to hear about Krishna, he or she is eager to chant, that itself is a great thing. That if I were to be given a chance, that I don't have anyone else to associate with in this world, I would still prefer to associate with that person because he or she will remind me of Krishna. So that is good in them, isn't it? So that
Yes,
should.
sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
So yeah, and so first of all, we ourselves are imperfect. So why to expect other person to be perfect? And secondly, an imperfect devotee is much better than a perfect materialist. So they are still good. They are still better. Okay. I have one more part that I wanted to cover, which was about Srila Prabhupada talking about seeing Narada Muni. Maybe we'll cover it after taking Prema Priya Jai Shri Mataji's query. Please unmute yourself, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Verse 3-4, Prabhuji. It is mentioned. Later, she went to the forest with Gandhari for severe penance. It is Kunti Devi. She used to take meals after each 30 days.
For
She
which
finally sat down
verse number?
At 13, chapter 3-4.
Okay, one.
Verses 3-4, Prabhuji. It comes just before Draupadi's begins, Prabhuji.
But Kunti first. Can
Later,
you? Yeah.
just before Draupadi's begins, Prabhuji.
Before
Last part.
Okay,
Yeah, there.
One second.
Last but one sentence.
Yeah, but her description will come again, Mataji, how she finished her body after the departure of Lord Krishna following Pandavas. Okay? She went to the forest with Gandhari for severe penance. She used to take milk. Because at least in the description that we saw till now in the subsequent verses, it is only Dhritarashtra and Gandhari and Vidura, Mataji.
Okay.
Let's not get confused.
Yeah, thank you.
So now, no problem. So now we go to the last slide I had planned for today, not slide, but the point, which is Srila Prabhupada mentioning about being able to have personal audience of great devotees like Narada Muni. So here we have a episode of not one episode, but multiple episodes of Srila Prabhupada himself having darshan of Narada Muni. Like I won't read the entire thing, but you can go through at your leisure. I will mention it in the slides. But one time, Srila Prabhupada was conducting a program in a university auditorium, and he had a set of devotees chanting with him on the dais, on the stage. And during the kirtan, Srila Prabhupada immediately he stopped the Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan and he started chanting this Vaishnava bhajan. Narada Muni Bhajaye Vina Radhika Ramana Name. So Srila Prabhupada started chanting this bhajan, and Yamuna Devi, who was one of the intimate and very advanced student of Srila Prabhupada, she asked Srila Prabhupada afterwards that Srila Prabhupada, how come you started chanting that bhajan all of a sudden? And Srila Prabhupada mentioned to her that even Narada Muni had come to the auditorium and he was smiling and laughing, seeing all the militias and Yavanas who had assembled there chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then Srila Prabhupada asked her, didn't you see him? And she said, no, Prabhupada, I didn't see him. And then Prabhupada confirmed that Narada Muni was there for sure. So point is, such great souls like Srila Prabhupada, they also have direct reciprocation and audience of great personalities, the eternal associates of the Lord like Narada Muni. And also there is one more pastime which I don't think is appropriate to be discussed in this setup, but all of you can try to find and read through, which is Srila Prabhupada's own interaction with Srila Rupa Goswami. So probably another time when the context is right, we may go a bit more into detail of that pastime. But Srila Prabhupada also had personal interaction and instruction by Rupa Goswami or Jiva Goswami. It was either of these two, I will confirm, but Rupa Goswami, sorry, not Jiva Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami himself in Radha Damodar temple when Srila Prabhupada used to stay there. So point is, Prabhupada, coming back to the purport, Prabhupada mentions that if one is free from all the sinful activities, anyone who desires to see Narada Muni must first be pious and follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni. It is possible to get audience of Narada Muni as well. So thank you all very much. Today is a very auspicious day of Vamana Dwadashi, appearance day of Lord Vamana Dev. So let's try to hear as well later on during the day about Sri Vamana Dev appearance. If possible, I will try and share some link of Srila Prabhupada's class on Vamana Dwadashi. Are there any questions, queries, concerns, comments, Prabhuji's, Mataji's on our discussion? Hare Krishna. All right.
No, Prabhu. Then we'll have the exam next Sunday, no, Prabhu.
Yes,
Sure.
yes, Mataji.
Thank you.
On
Right.
chapter, and I thought the next chapter is very touching. It is most appropriate if we start it in a fresh session. So it is again a very important chapter. So I didn't want to rush through to start it today. Okay. Hare Krishna. Attendance and all is sorted. Let me just mark it. Rohini Mataji, is attendance sheet already shared?
Yes, Prabhu, it is shared.
Yes, Prabhu, she shared it, Prabhu.
Okay, let me just
Twice. She stated twice. No?
Okay, fine. Where is the chat? Sorry, where do I find the chat?
It's in the chat, Prabhuji.
I can't see the chat.
7:59. At 7:59 she shared.
Do you want me to share it again, Prabhu?
Just help ping me on WhatsApp once, Mataji. I'll mark it afterwards. Okay.
Sure.
Vamcha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you all very much, Prabhuji's, Mataji's.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Dandavat
Prabhuji.
pranam.
Pranam, Prabhuji.